Hello, I'm Dawn Maher, CEO of the Sunnyvale Chamber of Commerce, and with me today is Allie. He is of California Artists, and he is the artist producer for the Sunnyvale Art and Wine Festival. So welcome, Terry. Thanks for sitting down with us today.
Thank you.
We are going to just chat a little bit about the history of the festival because I would love to learn a little bit more about your experience. How old is the Sunnyvale Art and Wine Festival?
This year it will be the 47th annual. It was started in 1974, which was started with my late wife Nancy and I, and we had come to the Chamber of Commerce to come up with a fundraiser for the downtown merchants because of the shopping centers that were being built, that we wanted to bring back an experience of, community to the downtown.
So you've been working with the festival since the very first year?
Yes, every 47 years, but it actually been in business for 50.
Wow.
So, and it was really also, besides helping the chambers, it was also making a place for the arts and crafts people that were starting to try to find available places to sell their wares, because at the time, if you wanted to show your art, you had to be in an art gallery. And the problem with the art galleries is they were usually charging way too much fees for the artists themselves, so that they just weren't having the places that they could connect with people. And part of it too was that the public could actually purchase from the actual person that makes it, and that was kind of important to start. Even though at the beginning it was thought of being street artists, which at the beginning it was kind of, thought sort of down a little bit, but more and more people realized that they were dealing with people that were very creative. So
I like that myself because I love to buy things from the artist and have a little bit of an idea of the story of the piece and meet the person that made it. And it just seems a little bit more exciting than saying I picked this up at Target. So
right.
I do love that. And I love Target too. Okay, well, downtown has certainly changed a lot over the last 47 years. There's lots of new businesses, the layout is completely different. Tell us a little bit about what all of that change has been like for you as our artist producer.
Well, the actual first 2 years of the festival was on what was considered the downtown street, which I believe was, that I'm not sure, I think it was Murphy Avenue, but it had extended all the way to, past, I think actually the street actually went to El Camino, but the downtown was there. And the third year, there had been plans that they were going to put the Sunnyvale Town Center, shopping center, and so they basically erected some large fences to cut that off. And so the festival then took over at that time, which was the Town and Country Center and several other streets around the spot. So, and then eventually it moved to down Washington, and then obviously had gone to Sunnyvale Avenue and stuff. So it's encompassed what is considered the downtown area, but the actual floor plan has changed over the years.
And then the festival itself, has that seen a lot of changes, or has that remained pretty consistent?
Pretty consistent. The only thing that has changed was the amount of artists, people that would come, because at the beginning, at one point there was almost 600 exhibitors.
Wow.
But it was also during a time that a lot of people were, weekend arts and crafts, they were making extra money, so there was a lot more. Whereas generally most of the art and craft exhibitors now mainly do it full time.
Okay.
So the numbers come down. Plus, over the years, the way people are creating things has changed. I mean, like several of the categories that we used to have several leather people. I think I have one or two. Even pottery, ceramics. A lot of people just they're creating on their computer. They're not the handmade stuff has changed over the years, you know. I mean, like, for many years, it was, macrame was really popular, and of course, that's, you know, comes and goes. The only thing I think that's funny that has stayed over the years is tie-dye.
Isn't that funny? It's still a thing.
Yes.
The young kids are wearing a lot of tie-dye jog suits, and
exactly.
that's the problem. That's the number one question that we get when people call is, you know, I'm looking for a tie-dye artist. You know, that used to be at the festival. Will they be there this year?
Yeah.
So do we have any tie-dye
vendors
signed up so far?
Yeah, normally at the festival, when it's a little larger, we probably would have about 5 to 6 exhibitors. Now, the fact that probably the size of the show is going to be half that, probably we hope for 150. I would say you're still going to have about 3 to 4, you know, tie-dye people, because the ones that are still doing it are the ones that come to Sunnyvale. So
that's exciting. Well, we're looking forward to that. Terry, you mentioned you've been in business for 50 years. Tell us a little bit about how California Artists got started.
Well, it started with my wife and I were exhibitors at a small show at the Custom Plaza in Monterey, and the people that were running it got into some large fight, husband and wife, and so they canceled it, and there was usually about 35 to 40 exhibitors that we all did this Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day. And so we found out that because the Custom Plaza is a state park, we researched and found that there was a park ranger, even though it's, you know, the middle of Monterey, there's no forest, we went to her and we said we have exhibitors that we'd like to put on the show ourselves, and we would be in charge, and she told us the permits we had to have and what kind of insurance. And so that weekend, for the 4th of July, we put on a festival with 40 exhibitors. And later in the year, we found out that National Geographic had done an article on Monterey, and there was a double color page picture of the exhibit that we put on at the Custom Plaza. And from that point, this is what we took to the chambers, to the shopping centers, that this is what we could put on, that we have this little festival, and that's basically how California Arts was born. Besides the fact that what we were trying to do is bring business to the downtowns.
That's a pretty powerful marketing piece.
Yeah, it gave us the legitimacy that we hadn't even considered, you know. Yeah, no, it's, you know, it's kind of funny because the picture itself was beautifully done, beautiful setting, you know, so it was fate.
Do you still have that up on a wall someplace, that National Geographic?
I have the actual, because we actually got the actual photograph from National Geographic. It's put away somewhere, but yeah.
You do have that.
Yeah.
That's a really
But I actually found it
story.
online when I had to find it for another presentation for another show. They wanted to see the picture, so I did find it.
We'd love to have a copy of that
Okay,
picture.
I will.
I think that's just we have behind us all of the different designs for beer and wine glasses that we've used over the last 47 years. But we'd love to add that picture to the collection because it's just it's a fun element to the story, especially since you've been working here since the inception of the festival.
And actually, about 10 years into the festival, the wine glasses were so popular that a lot of people were collecting them. And there was one year that Sunnyvale sold over 25,000 glasses.
Wow. We will have some collectible glasses this year, but there won't be 25,000 of them. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah.
So we are really excited about the updated format for the festival this year. Since everyone has had to reimagine everything due to the pandemic, we've had to reimagine the festival. So for this year, for 1 year only, we will be having the festival in the fall on October 2nd and 3rd. And then next year, in 2022, we will resume our first weekend of June format. So we're really focused on making this a community-centered event this year. So food and beverages will have a little different format. But we are going to leverage our businesses on Murphy Street to make sure that they are able to sell and get a lot of business from this festival. No farmers market. We're a little sad that we have to forego that, but we will have lots of artist vendors. on Sunnyvale, Washington, and Francis Street. So,
Yes.
how many vendors are you anticipating this year?
I am hoping to have between 150 and 200. I mean, I would be very pleased with 200, but you know, realistically at this point, 150, I could honestly say that. And the ones that have already signed up are very excited to come back to Sunnyvale.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, cumulatively, how many vendors do you think that you've hosted over 47 years of art and wine festivals here in Sunnyvale?
Well, if we're talking the total amount that has come, I would say at least 500,000 over the 47 years. Of course, quite a few have, you know, come every year. I mean, I have probably a dozen people that have been coming for the last 30 to 40 years. And there's a lot of repeats that will come because they do really enjoy the show. But I mean, yes, if we're talking about how many per year, I mean, like I say, one year we were up to almost 600. I think the lowest amount we've ever had at the normal dates is around 300. And as I say, the artists themselves creating stuff has changed over the years, so it's a lot less categories, but still every year I swear I see something new. It makes me excited because people are very clever, you know, and I really enjoy to see that somebody comes up with a creative new idea, and I'm excited because then the public, you know, gets to see something that, you know, because some people think that, you know, they come every year and it's going to be exactly the same. And also one of the things that I always do, which sometimes the artists are not particularly happy, is I try to change the show around, because a lot of people that would come every year, they always park sort of in the same area, and if they walk into the same area that they always have been, and they perceive the first 5 people are exactly the same, then they think the whole show is exactly the same.
Oh.
And I've also proven the artists over the years that by moving around, it creates new business for themselves. In fact, just as a funny story, I've had at Sunnyvale a man who got very upset because I moved him literally, you know, halfway difference of where he was. And I told him at the end of the show, you tell me this wasn't a good move for you. And he actually had to say, I had people say to me, is this your first time? And he's been at the show 25 years.
Wow.
So, you know,
yeah.
And once again, you have to keep it fresh because, you know, doing it as long as I have, I understand that people want to be excited.
Yeah.
You know, and if you just create the same thing and the same, you're going to start losing them. And that was the one thing that I'm really happy that we are doing this new day, even though it's a different day, is that if we went a whole nother year of not doing the festival, it's like 2 years off, that I think you start to lose the momentum, you know, whereas this gives people hope that we are, you know, going to create that community event that people love.
No, that's great. Look forward to getting back to normal. So Terry, since we may not have all of the artists at the festival this year that we normally do, what does the shopper do if they can't find a favorite artist? Is there any way to help connect them with their preferred vendors?
Yes, absolutely. When they come and they cannot find their favorite, they would need to come to the chamber booth, which is going to be very visible in the center of the show. And there is going to be a person that's representing the California artists that will help the customer cipher whether they're actually at the festival, and if they are not, that we have the resource that we will give them an email address that they could send the information that they want, and we will connect them with that person so they can contact them directly.
That's really outstanding. That's a great service for.
Yeah, because like you say, the small size there is going to be probably some of the favorites that will not be able to come this year, but definitely, obviously, if they've done it for quite a few years, they will be looking forward to the 1st of June next year.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you and you at the festival.